Hey guys, LPB here, coming at you with a quick little video. So this one's going to be part 2 of asset allocation. And keep it on the theme of people. Last one was more so people and education based, and skill sets. I'm going to kind of attack each one of those skill sets at a time. So this is going to be a long drawn out series. So keep posted for that. I'm going to try to upload one of these videos every day. So stay tuned. So keep it on the theme of people. I'm going to go with the one that everyone likes to want to be part of, I guess, which is security. Security teams, recon teams, long-range reconnaissance patrols, stuff like that. I personally believe that people with prior military, law enforcement, and security experience should be in control of that. I don't think your typical security guard would really count. I guess it would if you're actually doing your job and not what most security guards do, which is sit there and do nothing. If you're actually securing sites and stuff like that, being a good, diligent security guard, that's a different story. Not your typical run-a-cop, okay? Anyone can do that. So, you have to, first of all, come up with who's doing what role. I believe everybody on property that has training and you trust and that's always there, and that don't just hand these out to everybody, should have a firearm of some sort, whether it be a sidearm or a 22 or a bolt action, something, okay? Security teams, you're gonna have your AKs, your ARs, your M14s, your M1As, your SKS, your SVT-40s, your Moisens, your Barrett 50s, stuff like that. Although you better be making a heck of a lot of money if you want to be feeding that 50 on a regular basis to train with it. Now, I'm a little bit biased when it comes to this because it's the first rifle I ever shot. I like my Lee Enfield 303 Brit. Low sulfur ammunition, obviously you don't want to deal with those corrosion problems. Now, if you can find them, I personally don't like them sporterized. I like the full wood stock. Yes, it's a heavy rifle, but when you know how to use that heavy rifle, the bullets at least you're concerned. So I'm just going to leave that at that. What do I think? Security-wise, okay, so you want to have your law enforcement, your military, your top-end security guards, whether you be like securing like a nuclear site or mines, private contractors, stuff like that. You're going to want to have them as your main security forces. Don't throw all your eggs into one basket. So if you have like 4 guys that were in the military in your mag, don't put all 4 on a long-range reconnaissance patrol, okay? Don't put all 4 on sentry duty and send everybody else out, okay? I think you should personally, if you have a mag of about 50 people, I think 10 at a very minimum should be allocated to security, security force projection, training of such, hand-to-hand combat instructors and weapons instructors and armor techs and gunsmiths and all that stuff, right? Now, you're going to want to have subcomponents within your security. For example, medics, they're going to play both roles as a medical team member and a security team member. So if you want to look at it military-wise. You might have your company HQ, and then you might have, say, a long-range reconnaissance patrol and a sentry detachment and QRF, quick reaction force, for your security teams that I've pushed out, you know. And then you might have a subcomponent of your headquarters, which is your medical staff, your medical personnel, who who you can allocate, say, a paramedic or I wouldn't really go with a nurse, but if that's all you got, I guess it's what you do. As a combat medic, or if you have a combat medic, that guy's solid gold, right? I believe that everybody should have, at a minimum, first responder training. Red Cross offers a very good course, the first responders course. If you're in the States, I hope that I can take this course one day. Bear Independent. I've read reviews on his training, and they are amazing reviews. So if you can take his training, I highly recommend checking out Refuge Medical and Refuge Training. Get your medical training. I believe everybody should have high levels of medical, first response, massive bleeding, wound care, ongoing casualty care training. Everybody should have that, because who knows, maybe you're the last one standing, right? You got to take care of everyone, nurse them back to health. Well, you better know how to do that, and you better not be playing guessing games, right? So that's just my opinion on that. So as I was saying, you're gonna want to, say you have 50 people, which is a pretty big mag. At least 10 people on security. That's what I would prefer. Now, what do I think your security team should look like? Well, that's kind of up to your own situation. It's what you see fit. It doesn't really matter if you don't know how to use your kit. You all suck. So train, do the best you can with what you got where you're at, as Pastor Joe Fox likes to say, on Viking Preparedness, another great channel. You can check him out too if you haven't already. So perimeter security, you want clearings. You don't want to be defending your home from your mailbox, obviously, or worse, your front door. If you're looking for property, I suggested that your house be further back, off the road, if you can. I think it's really stupid to have your house right up on the road anyways, even if the world doesn't go to crap, but it's not proven that that's going to be the case. If the world doesn't go to crap and you got a little kid running around your front yard, I don't trust people driving. So the further back your house is from the road, the better. Also, cars go off the road all the time. Do you really want your house being the first thing it sees, or do you want it to be in a row of trees, right? That's just common sense, in my opinion. Why they put them so close to the road makes no sense. And for a security standpoint, that's horrible. Telling me I can just drive right up with a cube van full of people and kick in your door and do whatever, right? Especially if you live rural or in the city. I hope by now you are not living in the city, but if you are, even suburban areas, man, you take a U-Haul, you fill that, the 10-foot U-Haul, you can put 20 or 30 people in the back of that thing, go door to door and take whatever the hell you want. Be up on you in a couple of seconds. Come on, like, you got to buy your houses further back if you can. Buy a big piece of property and slap it right in the middle. Like, your house is in the middle of 100 acres, you know what I mean? Your security is going to be a lot better. Gates and fences, I think, are a must. So if you have, say, you can check out, if you still use Facebook, you can use Facebook Marketplace or Kijiji or Craigslist or whatever, man. People give away free stuff all the time, and that's resources that they don't realize. They're not on that mindset that they can use that for something, right? So if you see a guy giving away old fence board or old fence posts or old chicken wire, people list free stuff like that all the time. Like, that's solid gold in my opinion. If you don't got to pay for it, right? Look for those free resources to aid your security. Even if you find, like, I don't know, one day you find a free sheet of tin, grab it. Like, take that, stockpile that stuff. If you have a pole barn, man, stacked with a couple of skids of used tin, you can re-roof your house should something happen, right? Like, it may not look the prettiest, but it'll keep you dry, keep you warm, right? Sure as heck beats sleeping in a freaking tent or put tarps on your roof. Okay? And security's not only about keeping the bad guy at bay, right? It's peace of mind is security, right? Your emotional security. If you're worried about your roof caving in because it's got a massive hole in it and it's starting to rain, and you can go up there and re-tin it or whatever, that's security for your own mental health, right? Mental health's not something to joke around about. Everybody knows somebody that's been taken too soon because of mental health. I myself know far too many that have. Caveat to that, don't be afraid to seek help when it's needed. But also, you gotta harden yourself. Obviously, mental health is not something you can just be a man and stand up to it, right? It's a condition. It's not a joke. Anyways, so make sure your perimeter security is good. Fences and gates should surround your property. Those gates should be checked on, and they should live closed. Garages, if you can. That house is a perfect example of a derelict house. I might do a video there. It's an abandoned old farmhouse. Nobody owns it. It was all overgrown when we moved down here, so no one's been there in years. I might do a video on that house. It's old. It's probably like 150, 180 years old. Still standing. There's lots of houses like that around here. I might use that as a little prop to explain security and stuff a little bit better in a future video. So your perimeter security, make sure that you, as I was saying, with your fences and gates, make sure your gates live closed. If you have a garage, park your vehicles in the garage. If you don't have a garage, then you can get one of those, what are they called? Not run-in shelters, that's for horses and stuff like that. But it's like a run-in shelter for horses, but you can like a carport. If you can get those and maybe throw a wooden gate across it, something that's like planks or something just to cover up what you're doing, right? You can't, out of sight, out of mind is a good thing too. You can't see it, they don't want to take it, right? Can't see it, don't know it's there, can't take it. But again, you should be living far enough out where that's not a concern. But if you're not, and I know a lot of people don't, most of the free world's population anyways, lives in the city or suburban areas. Just not a lot of people that live rurally, right? As preparedness-minded individuals, we tend to live more rurally, but again, there are still people who live in the city and the suburban areas. So I know I've been talking huge properties and keep your house back off the road. What if you are in a suburban area? What if you are in an apartment building? Suburban, maybe your security, instead of gating your perimeter of your property, which might be the size of a postal stamp, maybe you got a double lot, whatever. Most rural properties here anyways aren't anywhere over a fifth of an acre at most. Pretty much throw a dart from the back door to the back of the fence of the backyard, right? So that's something to keep in mind too. You're not going to have a lot of space to grow food and stuff. Yeah, you can bucket garden. Maybe you have a deck. You can put some planters around, put them on the fence, grow small stage crops, spices, herbs, stuff like that, like fruit trees, right? Stuff like that. Security wise for that, I would focus more so on stuff like neighborhood watch kind of stuff. If you already do have a neighborhood watch, I recommend joining it. Make sure that they're good people. Get close to them, scratch their back, they'll scratch yours. Hopefully they're not a bunch of Karens out there with their binos and well, who's over at Jimmy's house now? They're making too much noise. Better call the cops. They're a disturbance to the neighborhood. Yeah, that's something that my cousin had to deal with a lot. By too much noise, he was building stuff in his garage, woodworking projects. Anyways, make sure they're not one of those neighborhood watches or the HOA. If you live anywhere with an HOA, then that's no bueno, right? So instead of maybe looking at your perimeter, maybe you look at your neighborhood watch, your subdivision. Maybe you look at taking your neighborhood watch and mapping out your subdivision. Has there been any crime in your subdivision? Where is that crime primarily? Car thefts, speeding vehicles, rowdy teenagers, gang activity, questionable groups, drug dealers, stuff like that. Map that out as a neighborhood watch, as a team in your maybe your subdivision. That's what I would do there. Come up with plans should something happen. Who's allocating what? How are you blocking off the roads? Because that's going to have to happen. If you're going to control access, you got to be able to defend that access. You got to have people watching those barriers, watching those checkpoints, watching those approaches, watching those pathways, watching further out, pushed out positions. Maybe you're on a new subdivision that's still under construction, right? This is a situation that I had somebody that I work with ask me about. He's in a new subdivision just on the outskirts of town, still under construction. And he's like, man, I don't think they're gonna finish the subdivision before the world goes to shit, right? And I was kind of hinting at him, well, that I could give you some pointers and stuff, what I would do. There's a neighborhood watch there, so he's joined that, right? But there's going to be a lot of supplies there and stuff like that should something happen. I'm not suggesting that you commit a crime and take stuff. That's of your own accord. I'm not recommending that. I'm not condoning that. But there is supplies you can make temporary roadblocks with. High strength cable. Check that out. That's a amazing tool to have in your basket. With some high strength carabiners, you can wrap those right around telephone poles, block off roads. You don't want to be cutting trees down and felling them right in the middle of the road, because that works once, right? You can't use that twice. After you fell that tree, now you're gonna have to try to move it when little Jimmy down there wants to get out and go see his mom, right? He doesn't want to stay in the subdivision anymore. He wants to go see mom. He wants to go to grandma's house, or he wants to go to the family cottage, or you know what I mean? Like he's trying to get out of Dodge because he doesn't see his situation as being viable where he's at anymore. Now you're gonna have to figure out a way to move that tree. Chances are you're gonna have to cut it up and move it, unless you got a skid steer with a clamp bucket on it, and then you just pick the whole thing up. But that's not very feasible, because eventually you're going to run out of fuel when people want to go, or that piece of equipment's going to break, right? I think locking things off with cables, people are far less likely to drive into something Now, if they really are dedicated, they're going to do it anyways. So keep that in mind. Cables all this has to be positioned, pre-planned, have concrete things set out. That's what's going to happen. That way you control access to and from your subdivision, right? Take a note of any bike pathways, ponds, walkways, trails, ATV trails, walking trails, stuff like that. Take note of where all that is, because as a frequent goer of ATV trails, I know them like the back of my hand. So keep that in mind. If an ATV trail runs through your property, I can skip through properties on snowmobile trails, no problem here. Okay. Now they have to have permits to go on said trails and stuff like that, so keep that in mind. Now you can close those off very easily, just fell a couple trees and then it's no longer a problem. But going back to the suburban situation, you're not really going to have that. But you will have walking trails. You might have bike trails, stuff like that. Parks are great for making guerrilla gardens. I'm going to do a video on that. And maybe even livestock, if you can keep your hands on it, you can turn the parks into pasture, right? Yeah. So moving on into more of a urban scenario, right? You're maybe living in a major city. You probably live in an apartment. If that's what you choose to do and you're still into preparedness, are you really into preparedness or are you just playing? Population density is an issue. Okay, it's your two biggest problems, as Pastor Joe says, from Viking preparedness, is starvation and people acting badly. Very true. Take a look at Hurricane Katrina, for example. You're 72 hours away, arguably 48 hours away with the just-in-time delivery system now, from starvation and chaos. Basically, you're 3 days away from anarchy at any given time. It's a very fragile system that they've implemented. I'll go into that in another video. In terms of prepping in an apartment building, I grew up in an apartment building. When I started prepping, I was 15. I would say when I realized there was a name for this thing, and it was called survivalism or prepper kind of thing. I don't really like that word, but I prefer self-reliant. I like to know I can take care of myself, right? As we all should be able to take care of yourself, clearly. You shouldn't rely on somebody else's handouts, right? Again, so are you really into prepping if you live in an apartment building? Now, if that's the best you can do right now, whether it's financially or whatever, and you're trying to get out and that's just a temporary thing, okay. You can work with that on a short term, very short term. I'm talking maybe a couple of months, if that. I wouldn't stay in an apartment building for very long. So I would be focusing heavily on networking with people if you are living in an apartment building. Because as soon as something goes down, you don't want to be in that city. That city is a death trap. Okay? Get out. Get out of the cities now while you still can. There's your security plan. Get out. Don't be there. Don't be where the problem is. What did Mr. Miyagi say? Best way, no get hit, no be there. There you go. Best way to not get schwacked. Don't be where the schwackings happen, right? Stay out of there. Don't be in the cities. If you are in the cities, when stuff goes down, get out as fast as possible. Have somewhere to go. Don't just go to the woods. Okay? That's a death wish. You're signing your own toe tag. You're not a caveman. You're not Bear Grylls. Okay? Camera crew is not going to bring you pizza. You cannot carry enough to survive off your back indefinitely into the woods. Cannot do it. Can you pre-position caches in certain wood plots? Maybe on the outskirts of town, maybe you rent a storage locker and position supplies there. Maybe you have just enough in your house to ride out, say 24 hours, or 48 hours, or 2 weeks, or whatever you feel comfortable. I wouldn't put a lot of supplies within your apartment. Maybe hunkering down in certain situations is your best situation. Maybe that is your best bet. Maybe it's just a bad ice storm and you just gotta stay put, right? But worst case scenarios, civil unrest and all that, you want to get the heck out of the city. You cannot stay there. That being said, renting a storage locker on the outskirts of town and having a credit card where you can maybe rent a hotel in a small town or rent a room somewhere, or maybe someone's renting out a basement, or maybe you can go to Aunt Martha's cottage or whatever. Call up your Uncle Bob and be like, hey Uncle Bob, things aren't too good here. Do you mind if I stay with you for a while? I can help you out on the homestead. Or Grandpa, do you mind if I come stay with you guys for a while out on the old family farm? Or if you have a trailer in a trailer park, maybe you can go there. It's probably a better survival chance than staying in the city. Obviously it depends on where your trailer park is. So that's something to keep in mind. But on the complete opposite side, maybe you like living in the city. Maybe you like all that flashy stuff and you actually are pretty into preparedness. You just don't maybe you just don't want to. Maybe you want to stay in the city. Well, playing devil's advocate, yeah, okay, let's swing at this for a second. Let's say you want to stay in the city. Let's say you like the flashy life. Let's say you like going out to the nightclubs, but you still want to, let's say you like going to the bars on a Friday night or whatever. Okay, everyone has their own choices. Not everyone who's into preparedness is into complete self-reliance. Maybe you just want to have better chances and whatever, right? Okay, so let's say you stay in the city. And you want a bug out location that's your own, that you can go to maybe on the weekends or for vacations or holidays or long weekends, etc. Maybe buy a trailer and rent in the city, or a cottage or something like that. Buy a cottage and rent in the city. Something where you're not really tied down to it. You can leave at any point. Month-to-month lease. That's probably a good idea. Because you got to remember, should something happen where all of a sudden civilization collapses and it starts building back, unfortunately people are greedy and they're going to want their money, so they're going to want to come after you. Maybe they won't come after you, maybe they will. While you're trying to get back on your feet, the last thing you need is a couple $100,000 worth of past due rent, right? Because, hey, you signed this contract. Remember before that whole collapse there, you signed this contract. That's your name on it. It's a legal document, yada, yada, yada. It's still legal, what have you, right? You never know, that might happen. Again, playing devil's advocate here, right? That's probably something that a lot of people don't think of. But if you can allocate resources to, as I said, either a trailer on the outskirts of town, in a trailer park, in a storage locker, pre-positioned caches, maybe at a friend's house, have your supplies in different areas, stuff like that. Spider points, I'm going to get into that in the next video. If you don't know what that is, stay tuned. So that's just part one, I guess, or part two of asset allocation. Kind of basic, bare bones security ideas, things to think about, stuff like that. So stay posted for the next video. Part 3 will be coming soon. You can find me on BitChute. I haven't uploaded anything there at this moment. I'm going to be uploading a video there soon. If you want to donate to the channel, you can donate through my BitChute page. There's a PayPal linked in that description. So you can do that. If you feel compelled to do so, it would be greatly appreciated. Especially trying to get this YouTube thing rolling. It's going to take a lot of time, and if I can maybe work a little less and play a little more, I guess, on growing this YouTube channel, building my store, which you can find on my Instagram page, OPB_survival. You can find me on Instagram under that tag. The link's not currently working. There's some technical issue. Once it is working, I'll mention in the video. So stay posted for that. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. OPB out. Thank you.